These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
It's a Scoop Session Tuesday here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd with our buddy Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. We were hanging out with Doogs at training camp yesterday, so we're going to start with some things that you and we learned at Vikings practice, but a reminder all week long across all of the Score North podcasts, we're talking about the second annual Power of Sports auction benefiting the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute. So all week long, we have several great experiences available to buy or bid on at scorenorth.com/auction. Our goal is to raise at least $15,000 this week. I'm going to highlight two things specifically right now. These are buy it nows with limited tickets. So jump on these as early as possible here. I believe the date is September 11th, an upcoming Twins game. We are throwing a Score North executive balcony party where you can hang out and watch a Twins game from the executive balcony that you don't really ever get access to as a fan. It's that top balcony right next to the Polad conference room, basically. And we had a great time last year hanging out with listeners, but those are buy it now tickets. First come, first serve. Once they're gone, they're gone at scorenorth.com/auction. Also, sweet tickets at the X to see Aerosmith's farewell tour. You can hang out with me and watch one of the greatest rock bands to ever pick up guitars and microphones. I'm a huge Aerosmith nerd. VIP sweet tickets available. Again, first come, first serve, scorenorth.com/auction. 100% of proceeds benefiting the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute, which works with children and adults who experience life-altering injuries and disabilities. They work to get those children and adults back on track as much as possible. So we thank you in advance for your donations, for your bidding. There's all sorts of other things available too. Check them out, scorenorth.com/auction. Doogs, we got Judd. Judd beat you by 5 hours to the practice facility here, Doogs. He's already inside the building.
Jealousy and envy. Good for you, Judd. Do you have your cup of coffee? They have those nice fancy mugs now for us in the media room.
Oh, look
right
at that.
here.
There it is.
Right here. Second cup
Are we sure anybody's
of the day.
actually washing?
Yeah, who's
Nope.
I would not. Give me the disposable cup. I don't care about the environment.
tell you-
not trusting that.
I'm going to tell you right.
that.
I'm going to tell you right now. I don't care.
What?
It looks washed. Good enough for me.
Absolutely not.
Good
I don't know,
enough for
man.
me. Well, I mean,
Zero
my
shot.
my brethren in this industry, as far as I know, all shower, brush their teeth, decent hygiene.
There's a chance. Were
Were you sure of that 2 years ago? I'm thinking about the Pioneer Press beat. Are
Well,
you
no,
positive?
but that's no longer a problem. Dane is a very well dressed,
Former
very
JCP intern. Yeah,
yeah
Dane is rock
yeah.
solid.
I saw
I'm not
Dane
concerned.
sneeze into that cup yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I've seen Dan at the bars before.
I'm
going
gonna
to
tell you guys
about the same
something.
Dane.
I'm going to tell you guys something that might surprise you. Media wise, more and more people don't drink coffee, and if they do, they're those, I got to go to Starbucks and get it dressed up with some mocha, some almond.
Yeah.
It's by the time that they're done, it's not coffee. So I
There's other
actually
way-
think
there's other
these
ways
glasses
to
aren't
get-
used.
There are other ways to get your caffeine hit now. There's
Yeah,
those
right.
Celsiuses, which
It's
are
a
like
shame, though.
300 milligrams into your soul.
Coffee
It's a
should
shame. If somebody with a cup of black coffee right now, a mug.
exactly.
Yes, just give me
Coffee's
black
a
coffee.
staple.
I'm obsessed with black coffee. No sugar, no cream. Just give
Yep.
me the black coffee.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Great
4 or 5
content.
cups. Anyway, sorry. Hey, Duke's asked.
Amazing content right now.
I did. By the way, so Courage Kenny, like 5 minutes from my house, I've done some TV stories over there. They do phenomenal work. So fantastic that we are doing everything in our power to help them. But I saw, so it's September 11th, Twins Angels. I saw in the recap, special guest appearance by Declan Goff. I love it. Like, Declan, what? You need to spend like 8 of the 9 innings in the press box?
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
be up there on the perch for 7 or 8 innings, then head down to the clubhouse for post game.
I'll come for free. I mean, I do my pregame access. I do the podcast, and I have like 90 minutes to kill. So I mean, I'll just start at the executive balcony, and who knows? Maybe I won't even return to the press box. by
That's
that
what I'm
time.
you
saying.
don't need
What's
to.
the point of
Yeah.
returning to the press box?
Yeah, there isn't.
You don't
There
need
isn't.
to.
It's not like
No.
they're sharing the treats with you, right?
No.
Like with stories. It's not
No.
like they're welcoming you with open arms, right? Now, hey, Dustin and those folks do a great job from a Twin standpoint, but maybe some of the colleagues in the press box, right, Declan? So hang with Judd. Hang with
Yeah.
Phil. I'll be there if I can be there.
Yeah. So without further ado, Dukes, give us something or two things you learned being at Vikings practice yesterday. Where do you want to start?
Well, had a nice conversation with Bobby McCain post-practice. Those talks ramped up actually going back to Friday. Some correspondence he had with his former head coach, Brian Flores. I asked him, hey, what is your best position? He told me, hey, football, right? Like I'm thinking, would he say safety? Would he say nickelback? It sounds like the Vikings will experiment with him in some different spots, but they will start him. His work will be at safety, not at cornerback. So trying to unearth what the heck is going on with Lewis Cine. Now, hey,
Wait, so hold on. You asked Bobby McCain what his best position was.
I was there for this.
He said football.
Football.
That's
football. I actually appreciated the response. It's what Josh Metellus always tells me. Like Josh told me the other day, a couple weeks ago over at Training House in Eagan, hey, like for Pro Bowl purposes, I guess I need to be listed as a safety, but I'm not a safety. But he's not really a linebacker. And so he views himself as a football player, playing all these different spots. He's trying to petition the league.
It's like basketball.
For some change when it comes to Pro Bowl consideration. But he goes, I guess for right now, until, if I can get the rule changed, the verbiage, that I guess I need to be a safety because he's not a linebacker. But heck, Josh is going to play in the box, he told me, more than he has previously this year. He's trying to keep his weight up. Right. So that's a cause for concern because I talked to him the other day after practice. Like he's running around. It's hard for him. Right. We would all love to have this problem, but it's hard for Josh to maintain his weight. So the Vikings want him to add a few pounds. It's hard for him to even maintain his current weight, let alone add a few pounds. But yeah, I mean, I was curious to see, how they would start using McCain. So I was keeping an eye on number 48 on Monday. Jay Ward got some cornerback snaps. So will that continue? Cam Bynum had an excellent day, another excellent day. Phil, I'm surprised they haven't at least approached him, his representation, about a contract extension. Now, maybe they are thinking, okay, you look at what like Xavier McKinney signed for in Green Bay, 4 years, $68 million, 20-something million guaranteed. Is that the price point on Cam Bynum? Are you willing to invest that much money in the safety position? But I thought there would at least be a little bit of dialogue. There just hasn't been. Then one other observation from Monday, Christian Darrisaw is really, really, really good. I think we all know that.
He was
but
a stud
he even
yesterday.
told me after practice, he has another level to his game. He hopes to show us that this year, plus hopefully play for the first time in his career all 17 games.
That's health too, because I think if there's no question about Christian's ability. I think the question is, can he consistently stay on the field and play 17 games? On Jay Ward, while you caught up with new guy, I went and talked to Jay. I said, hey, looked like you were playing some cornerback. And if you recall, he played, I think he said he played all three positions. He played nickel, he played corner, he played safety in college. And I said, it looked like they had you at corner for a lot of the day. And he said, actually, I played the entire day there. I think what we've seen now, and this is why they're not done, in my opinion, with a potential addition. Like, I think that there's a bigger fish in the sea that they're going to try to land. I think what they've done short term is they put Jay Ward, who is, I think, 6'3", at corner, and they put new guy at safety. He's 5'9". And so, like, that's the thing, is like Duke Shelley, God bless him, fans love him. He in no way, shape, or form fits into what Flores wants from a prototype for a cornerback. So for now, just as a holding place, their hope is that Jay Ward can give them the size there. But I think like the Stephon Gilmore, Dory Jackson conversations are still very much a thing. Once Griffin's back, it's going to help. Caleb Evans is going to make the team. I can't decide if they want to start him, but I don't think that we should sleep on the fact that there could be one more significant addition at corner in a few weeks of a player whose name we actually recognize.
Oh, absolutely. I fully anticipate another move. Now, maybe it's one of the two names you described, or maybe it's another free agent, or maybe it's somebody that's currently on someone else's roster. But yes, I fully anticipate a recognizable name coming in the coming weeks. Now, hey, like, look at Stephon Gilmore. Like, he could sign in 2 weeks and probably be okay. Like, he doesn't need to come in today, tomorrow. Like, if he comes in heading into those joint practices with the Browns, let's say he signs on August 13th, then his first couple practices, maybe he has one practice, then he travels to Cleveland with the Vikings, participates in those 2 joint practices before the preseason game that he wouldn't play in Cleveland. Like, that would be okay. My understanding is Gilmore is still staying in shape, right? Like, he's training. He's got his trainer. He's doing work. Now, I get it. There's something different about being in football shape, being a part of a team. But Gilmore, who will be 34 in September, has been through it. He knows how to get himself ready for a season. So if he signs in a couple weeks, that would be okay. And I'm not saying it's going to be him. I'm just saying I firmly believe he is one of a few names on the Vikings radar. But yeah, I anticipate something happening in the coming weeks. On a Caleb Evans, like Brian Flores told us, hey, like, we are going to need him this year. But you think about it, Caleb Evans was benched twice last year. I did talk with him after practice on Monday. He laid out how big a training camp it is. He said all the right things. Like, I'm not guaranteed a spot. I need to go win a spot. Hey, like, I wasn't happy with my play last year. Like, he feels like there's a lot more there. But Flores said it best. You can't teach that height, that length, that speed. I mean, he's got that body that Brian Flores really, really likes. It's a reminder, Kyrie Jackson, how much he had ahead of him. You think about just the body type that Brian Flores wants at the cornerback position. Kyrie Jackson was going to get every opportunity to play a lot of snaps this year. Just so tragic.
Yeah. Have you've been at a handful of practices here, like 3-4 of them. Have you been able to form any quarterback takes or observations, or is it too early?
Well, I mean, my take of J.J. McCarthy pre-draft remains the same. There's so much to like. And I've seen the growth, whether it's the footwork, some other things with his mechanics from the spring until now. I think there's something to be said about him spending the whole summer here, working with Adam Thiel and others at Woodbury High School in July, not really taking much of a vacation, putting in a lot of work when he didn't necessarily have to. Although, hey, maybe the Bo Nixes of the world, these other rookie quarterbacks did the same thing. But I can appreciate his work ethic when he didn't necessarily have to work his ass off from mid-June until July 22nd or July 23rd, whenever rookies reported to Egan. On Sam Darnold, I mean, I still think he's going to be the guy on September 8th. There's nothing I've seen, Phil, or heard that suggests to me that J.J. McCarthy has a legitimate chance to start week 1. There's been a lot of social media chatter about McCarthy. Hey, look at J.J. do this. Look at J.J. do that. Hey, let's not discount this idea of J.J. McCarthy starting week 1. Yes, J.J. is going to get his chance eventually. I just don't think it's going to happen on September 8th. But, hey, there's been some good moments. There's been some bad moments. But, Phil, you noticed. So Darnold had a long completion on Monday. But if he could have been taken to the ground, was it Gabriel Murphy, who I had a nice talk with Monday after practice?
It was a sack.
Would have sacked him. Mm-hmm. Right, so it's hard.
He's taking a lot of sacks,
these
a lot
really
of turnovers,
strong opinions when you don't know if the guy could get taken to the ground or not in certain situations. The arm strength is evident. I mean, he can make some throws that other quarterbacks can't, but the decision-making at times is shaky.
The arm strength is there, but the problem is, and we've seen this now in every practice that we have watched, he can take the top off a defense really well, and I do think he's got a nice touch there. The intermediate passes that Justin Jefferson lives on, feeds on, the lifeblood of one of the best, if not the best, receivers in the entire league. Darnold is late on those. He leads Jefferson right into defenders. He's been picked off. So, Dukes, I agree. So I said this on PD yesterday. It's my humble opinion. McCarthy's not competing with Sam. McCarthy's competing with himself. But to strengthen your point, J.J. McCarthy has yet to take a first-team rep. So they are definitely – this is not a can McCarthy beat out Darnold. This is a can McCarthy reach the checkpoints that Kevin O'Connell wants. And if he does, that's what could beat out Sam. But they are very, very clearly trying to prepare Sam to play September 8th. It's just – it does concern me, though, that an offense that depends on that 15 to 20-yard pass to the Jeffersons of the world, Darnold, I don't think this is like a scheme problem. I think this is a weakness of his problem.
Oh, I get it. There's every reason to be concerned. I'm just telling you, though, I think Sam Darnold is the guy September 8th. One other observation. Now, this can help Sam eventually if he's still the guy. TJ Hockenson, now I get it. He's not in any football gear, okay? But the way he's moving off to the side, cutting, catching the ball, one of the trainers is throwing him passes, so he's cutting left, then turning, then going right. TJ Hockenson looks really, really good. I don't know what that means in terms of early September. I've always thought he was going to miss at least some chunk of the regular season, but I get it when Kevin O'Connell told us last week that Hockenson is ahead of schedule. Like, okay, you hear it. You're like, okay, well, maybe. Now that you see it, now we can't necessarily film that, but we're sitting there watching it off to the side. TJ Hockenson looks to be doing very, very well. So, hey, could he be back even before that London game or maybe for that London game, not after the bye? That is something that's very much on my radar.
Yeah. No, he's grinding, man. Like you look over, he's running steps with a couple trainers the first part, and then he's doing all sorts of cut and sprinting drills off to the side. It's hard to say if he looks close or what the timeline is. I would still be shocked. I think all of us would be if he's ready for week 1. The other thing, like back to the quarterbacks for a second. JJ McCarthy, excuse me. Wow.
There we go. Right?
I don't know the
right?
tube.
You all right?
I'm okay.
I mean, I'm willing to try, Phil.
That's
If
being
I break
clipped.
one of your ribs, not my fault. But if you need the Heimlich, let me know. I can
What,
be
are you
over
going to
there.
drive over there? You'll be dead by the time you get there. I mean,
Thanks,
just
Dukes. Yeah, Dukes
just
got
cash
here
it in.
27 minutes after Phil choked on his own saliva while dishing a quarterback take from training camp.
It's time
How
for
did
Judd
Phil
and
die?
Declan.
How did Phil die? Well, he was right about to make an observation about JJ McCarthy working with the backups.
It's really fitting.
We're a week into training camp. Kevin O'Connell, Monday before last, he said JJ's going to work with the first team offense at some point. Like you said that verbatim. It hasn't happened yet. I'm curious to see what he looks like throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But the Vikings haven't put him in that position yet. I mean, do we think that's going to happen still? I would be shocked if O'Connell says, hey, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't for the duration of camp. So let's see what he looks like throwing to the best receiver in the NFL.
Yes, I mean, I don't know, Judd. I mean, unless you feel differently, yes. I fully expect to see it. I just don't know when. Now, hey, like August 10th, preseason opener, okay, JJ out there, especially at US Bank Stadium, but not like those number one receivers are going to be playing in that game. So it has to come in a practice setting. I fully expect it to happen. I just don't know the exact date.
Sports Dad did not make the long drive from his SLP estate out here today to not ask that question. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, wow.
I got to ask him. You said it was going to. What's the timeline? And look, I mean, it's not confrontational.
It's going to be.
But it's true. No. I got a Judd 2 days ago. I got a Judd from
You got a Judd
from Kevin. Yeah. I asked about the kickoff rule. And I said, are you purposely not showing it to us because you're trying to come up with some type of gimmick for it or something like that? He's like, no, Judd, I'm really curious to see how this goes, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, no, we are tight. But I do think it's an important question. The other thing, because of the newness of what we're seeing from a quarterback situation here, guys, is I also think the preseason, like, do you not play Darnold? I wouldn't play Jefferson, but I mean, with Kirk, it was rote, right? It was like, oh, okay, Kirk's back. He's worked with this line before. I don't know that you don't play Darnold a few snaps with the first line just to get them some work in a game. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't have that answer. I'm sure Kevin knows, so that might be another question for
That's
Kevin
another one on my
today,
notebook.
or maybe it's a better question
Here you go,
next
Dukes.
week. This time
Dukes.
next week.
I got a whole thing of questions right
Yeah,
here.
I mean, Lewis Seen.
Yep.
Hey, how about John Parker Romo? Not really getting much of a chance. Let's just say his camp, not real happy about that. Yes, maybe this was the inevitable move. They go with the rookie from Alabama who they drafted.
Right.
But like Parker Romo got like one practice to show what he's capable of. He was led to believe when he signed here it would be more of a competition, not being let go in late July before the calendar even flips to August. But yeah, I'm curious. I mean, yes, against the Raiders on August 10th. Yeah, I mean, I don't see the harm in having your first team offensive line out there. So O'Neal right tackle, Darrisaw left tackle. Okay, no Jefferson. To me, even no Addison, no Jones, but Ty Chandler in the backfield. And yeah,
Yes.
at least give him a series or two. I don't know how you wouldn't play Sam at some point in these 3 preseason games and then have him go out there September 8th. So I guess, reckless speculation maybe here on a Tuesday, but I fully expect to see Sam at some point in the preseason.
Okay. So I know anything Twins related that we talk about is going to lose some timeliness here, but we might as well sneak in a few for people that are listening before the trade deadline. After we remind you guys that we are holding a Score North Twin Show trade deadline watch party that could also just evolve into a Judd's Camp Notes gathering of Minnesota sports fans. Park Tavern, look at Judd, the NASCAR driver, throwing on his Park Tavern ball cap.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
Right there.
So it's today at 4 o'clock on this Tuesday, 4 o'clock Central Time, Park Tavern, St. Louis Park. That's when we're going to gather and maybe enjoy a couple adult beverages. 5 o'clock trade deadline, 6 o'clock Twins Mets, which is available on TV even a couple days before Comcast jumps back into the fray. We'll have some fun giveaways. So come hang out with us, a Score North gathering, and you can meet the Sports Dad at the official sports bar of the Sports Dad. It'll be great.
Amen. And don't forget, too, we're going to be gathering in the 11th frame right in the back room there, which is adjacent to the gorgeous patio with plenty of TVs out there. So hopefully it's nice. We can have some great beers and we can have some great apps. Park Tavern, always a good time. And they got nice merch as well.
They do.
Go pick
Love
up some
Park
merch.
Tavern, St. Louis Park. By the way, congratulations to the St. Louis Park 10U, 11U, 12U baseball teams. Swept the Little League championships.
Let's
State
go.
champions across the board. 10U, 11U, and 12U. That's a heck of an accomplishment for St. Louis Park Little League.
LFG.
I'm proud. I was rooting for him.
Also, before we get into some Twin stuff here, Nicolay Law is the exclusive personal injury law firm of Score North Podcast. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. That's where Nicolay Law comes in. Russell Nicolay, also a huge supporter of Minnesota sports teams. And Nicolay Law is here to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay. You can start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. So at last check, last night, the Twins were one of 2 teams in Major League Baseball who have yet to make a trade in the month of July. The Oakland Athletics are the only other team. So what are we doing here? Are we really worrying about a couple $1 million added to a $127 million payroll?
I have not heard that, Phil. I'm just telling you. I'll be very surprised if we hear in the next handful of days that Derek Falvey was handcuffed from making what he considers a legit move, a legit upgrade because of just a couple $1 million. Now, I'm not suggesting they're adding Tyler Anderson's contract, big number for 2025, enough money the rest of this year. But I'm just telling you, my intel is that's not how the Twins are operating right now. If the right move presents itself and it's a couple $1 million, in your words, that Derek has that opportunity to go ahead and make the move.
So there's an interesting development as well, because the reports that the Twins are too poor to take on an expiring contract is disturbing. But the main guy, and Dukes, you've talked about this guy for a month now, Kikuchi got traded to Houston, and I don't know if you guys saw the price, but they got two basically prospects who are in the big leagues right now, and Billy Wagner's son, who is a minor league corner infielder. And so here's where it gets murky. What Kikuchi got for an expiring contract, if I'm a team, I'm not going to give the Jays that. It still disturbs me, though, that we're being told that the Twins are handcuffed by the finances. But if you had told me, hey, what Houston paid was more than the Twins were willing to pay, I'm fine with that, because I think the Astros gave up way too much for an expiring contract of a guy who right now, I think in the last 2 months, has an ERA that might be north of 6.
Yeah, he hasn't been good of late, although I watched him a few weeks ago at San Francisco. He was marvelous. I mean, the stuff is there, although, like, if they had made the move. Now, hey, the Twins were in on Kikuchi. In fact, here's a text from a high-ranking Twins executive. Let's just say somebody in the belly of the beast. Quite the haul for Toronto. That was the only response I got on that trade. So, yes, the Twins were not willing to match that offer the Astros made. But, hey, if Kikuchi had come in, he's not above Ryan. He's not above Ober. Heck, Ober's been their best starter. He's not above Pablo. And I get it. Pablo hasn't been great this year, but he's not above Pablo. Where does he slot in? Now, I get it. You've got 2 rookies in the rotation right now. They absolutely are making calls on adding a starting pitcher. But I'm just saying, like, at best, he's your number 4. And so the Twins were willing to engage Toronto, but they weren't willing to go quite that high. But I will still be surprised. We are sitting here talking at 10:34 a.m. Central Time on Tuesday morning. The trade deadline is, 6.5 hours away. I will be surprised. Okay, the Twins and A's haven't done a thing. I will be surprised if we're talking in 8 hours about the Twins still haven't done anything. I fully expect them to do something.
Yeah. Well, we will see. We'll count it down together, and then Dex will jump on with an extra innings Score North Twin Show. Trevor Plouffe Tuesday today, so the Score North Twin Show feed, if you haven't already subscribed on Apple or Spotify or the brand new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel, check it out. Anthony Edwards' nice little debut over the weekend. They have another game today, I believe. But I was telling Judd this on Flagrant Howls, Doogs, that some people are making the argument that this team on paper is the most talented Team USA. I would still put the dream team even relative to like 30 years ago. But let's say this is the second most talented Team USA, which would mean, by the way, it's the second most talented basketball team in world history. If you want to fight me on that take, you can. And Anthony Edwards is one of the 5 or 6 most important rotational players on said team. How about that for putting it into context?
And he still is only 22 years old. Celebrates a birthday in about a week, but technically in this moment, still only 22. And hey, Jason Tatum can't even get off the bench. Tyrese Halliburton can't even get off the bench. Now, hey, I expect to see both those guys at some point. I believe it's tomorrow, right, Phil, that they play South Sudan. Okay. Yeah, my buddy Nooni Omat from Matamidi High School is on that South Sudan team. They gave the U.S. one heck of a game, about a weekish or so ago, that exhibition game that the U.S. won by a point. So that'll be a fun rematch on Wednesday in France. But yeah, like Anthony looks fantastic, right? And just what a bonus to be able to pick the brain of his idol, Kevin Durant, to learn from LeBron James, just watching them in practice, the coaching he's getting. Judd, I know you're sort of at times anti-guys playing for their country, although maybe not in this moment when it's the Olympics. Maybe it's more so like the World Championship.
Not on Ant. No, I think it's great on Ant.
But on Ant at 22, like soak it all up. I mean, he was so good this last year, Phil. Like to me, like first team All-NBA next year. Yeah, shot selection needs work. Heck, I was talking to Tom Crean, his college coach, a couple weeks ago. Tom and Ant are still in, constant communication, maybe not constant, but enough communication, and so Tom's got these ideas how Ant can take his game to the next level. And there's more that he has to do, but everybody believes he's going to do it. Like to me, first team All NBA next year. That should be the next step. Truly being in that MVP consideration. Maybe not finishing 7th or 8th, but being like top 3 MVP voting. I think we all expect that to take place as soon as next season. Such a special, special talent.
And now we have a November date? Is that correct for the arbitration hearing between the warring sides of Taylor v. A-Rod and Laurie?
Yes, I texted somebody close to the Laurie Rodriguez camp. They said, "Hey, whatever. This very much is pro Glenn, though. Glenn wanted to push this out, the Glenn Taylor side, as far as possible. And it's about getting the 3 arbiters, the judges, matching up their schedule with Laurie, with Rodriguez, with Taylor. Somehow we couldn't come up with a date in August, September, October, all the way until November. Then it'll be 30 days or so until a decision is made. So these 3 judges will hear both sides. Then they have up to 30 days to make a decision. So, I mean, like, we're looking at like January, because let's say Mark and Alex win the arbitration hearing, then the Board of Governors probably wouldn't get to it until after Christmas. So we very much are looking like middle of the season for final determination on who the majority owner is. But I can just tell you in this moment, now that we have news of a November arbitration hearing, that this is very much what Glenn was hoping to accomplish. Push this thing out, my understanding, as far as possible.
They should legitimately, as they look for ways to breathe some life back into their local TV revenue situation. I mean, we talk about the Twins and their $55 million. The Wolves aren't quite on that level, but the Wolves have lost out on local TV structure, right? They should charge 50, 60, 70 bucks, whatever you would pay for like a big pay-per-view boxing match, UFC. I would pay money to watch these because they're all going to be in the room, right? It's their lawyers and them. Like all of them are in the room all day.
Oh, I would happily pay 50 bucks.
I would pay to watch this.
Yes, I would expense it to Hubbard, but I'd happily pay it, right? No, I mean, even if
we could gather at Judd's.
It would be fantastic. Let's gather at Park Tavern, get it on the big screen. Yes. I don't like the chances of that happening, Phil. I would bet heavily against such a scenario.
Can you
put
cameras?
Where your mind is going. Yes, sign me up.
Can we put cameras in courtrooms, right? We put cameras in courtrooms.
We do.
Can we do it for an arbitration hearing?
Well, yeah, not quite that simple, but yes, I'd love to see that. One other Wolves note, they were never really in on Tyus Jones. A lot of people hit me up saying, I can't believe Tyus is going to Phoenix for the veteran minimum. And hey, if you had told me on July 2nd, Tyus Jones would sign for the veteran minimum, I would have said, hey, you're crazy. I would have said the same thing about Gary Trent Jr. It's the life of aprons and all that stuff. But he wasn't coming here to be a backup. And the Wolves are not demoting Mike Conley Jr. The Wolves knew that. So, like, there were never really any sort of talks between Tyus Jones and the Wolves. Tyus went down to Phoenix, personally recruited, Grayson Allen Duke connection, some other connections on that team. He will start. That's a big deal. He will start for the Phoenix Suns.
It's a great
betting on himself that he can now cash out this time next year, July of 2025 after the season. But I'll tell you what, on a vet minimum deal, that's one heck of a get for the Phoenix Suns. And hey, like in the moment, like I know my guy JB loves Tyus, right? Like Detroit's got cap space, right? But like I don't think he wanted to sign with Detroit or go back to Washington. Sure, he could have made more money for the 24-25 season, but he thinks, hey, if I play in a winner, start, hey, I can hit the jackpot more so waiting a year. So that's how this thing came to fruition. But more locally, people were curious, hey, like, why didn't Tyus come to the Wolves? I mean, they could have offered him the vet minimum. Sure, they could have offered him the vet minimum. He wasn't coming here ever to be a backup.
This is something to watch in the Western Conference because Phoenix, you may think, well, the Wolves took care of Phoenix, dusted them off, and now they're going to be. But the biggest thing Phoenix needed was essentially a low usage distributor of the basketball that could set up. They've got three guys that probably shouldn't be point guards, but have to handle the ball because they don't have a true point guard. And so Tyus Jones goes in there. He can unlock Kevin Durant. He can unlock Devin Booker. I mean, it's going to be that's something to watch. I think Phoenix got a level better by adding Tyus Jones for $3 million.
I mean, think about it. One of the all-time, this is not hyperbole, one of the all-time great assist to turnover ratio guys in NBA history.
Yeah.
You know who else is up there? Monte Morris, who maybe went there thinking, I have a chance to start, but he's still going to play way more minutes in Phoenix than he would have played here after the Wolves made the Rob Dillingham move. But like Monte Morris is also an assist to turnover king. Yes, I'm telling you, adding Morris, adding Tyus, they just need to keep those guys healthy. I still have some defensive concerns. Like what sort of defense will those guys play? But from an offensive standpoint, Tyus, Booker, Beal, Durant, Nurkic with Royce O'Neal, Monte Morris, others, even getting back Josh Okogie, having those guys off the bench, Grayson Allen, like that's a good team. Like I think they're closer to what we saw in that regular season finale when they smoked the Wolves at Target Center to set up that doomsday matchup. Remember in that moment, like April 16th A lot of people were saying, I can't believe the Wolves drew Phoenix in the first round. This is the worst possible scenario. The Wolves are about to lose in the first round. I still think Phoenix is probably closer to what we thought of that team in that moment, April 16th, compared to April 30th.
Yeah.
They just need to keep those guys healthy. I think Phoenix can be a top 4 team in the Western Conference.
Yeah. Dukes, we got to run. We got Purple Daily and Trevor Plouffe.
I like it. How about Randy Dobnak back?
How
So his
about
agent
it?
puts out a statement on social media. I texted Randy just to verify, like, this wasn't some sort of, April Fool's on July 30th joke, because, hey, he's earned it. Randy's been really good for the Saints, but he needs to be added to the 40-man. Well, Randy sent me back a heart, like on his way to New York to meet up with the Twins. So we know at least one roster move is coming today. How many more roster moves will be coming? Brock Stewart looked off last night. It's unfortunate. Just the velo isn't where it needs to be. Even the bite on his off-speed stuff. I mean, I don't know what you observed last night, Declan. I mean, pretty clear. Just look at the box score, right? But Brock Stewart, now, hey, he's out of minor league options, so you can't send him down. But do you IL Brock Stewart again? He didn't look right last night.
No, Phil and I were watching people be body slammed, and we were at WWE Raw last night. So
that's right.
We were not able to watch
just
the
trust me.
Twins.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I don't need to do a deep dive down the rabbit hole on Brock Stewart's stuff, but he didn't look like the normal Brock Stewart last night.
Yeah, I think it's an IL move. I think an IL move's coming.
So we know at least one roster move is coming today, or multiple parts, right, with a 40-man move as well. But the question is, do they add one pitcher, multiple pitchers today? But I fully expect them to do something.
Yeah, we shall see. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. A Scoop Tuesday here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. Doogs, we'll see you in a couple days, man.
Okay, sounds good, boys. Take it easy.
All right. Judd's camp notes on Purple Daily. We'll see hopefully a bunch of you at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park, 4:00 to either celebrate a big acquisition or complain about the lack of acquisitions. There's really no in between.
Or talk Vikings quarterbacks.
Or talk Vikings quarterbacks. Whatever. Yeah,
What
whatever.
the hell?
Or the Olympics.
No thanks.